We have been told, and it was reported in the news yesterday, a new legal year started for the, I know, should I say, 2024-2025 season. And certain statements have been made about the role the judiciary plays in society, especially as it relates to the political situation in Rivers State. Now, I'm going to be looking at all of that, but more importantly, we're going to be looking at how far the judiciary has come, how far it's going, and how we can, help, or how the judiciary can help solve the political impasse in Rivers State. Now, joining me to have this conversation is a senior advocate. He also is a member, a life member, I should say, of the Honorable Body of Benches, a one-time president of the Nigeria Bar Association, or a past president of the Nigeria Bar Association. I'm talking about OCJ Okocha. It's good to have you, sir. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Good afternoon to you once again, and welcome on the show. My first question to you is, looking at some of the allegations, talking about the judiciary, what would you say is the biggest challenge when you talk judiciary in Rivers State? Being someone who has been the president of the Nigeria Bar Association, you're a member of the bench. What would you say is the biggest challenge?
Well, I would say, with all sense of responsibility, and the biggest challenge to the judiciary is the matter of funding. The courts not being properly established as we expect. Because you see, you have to look at each court. And when I say courts, it actually means a group of courts. When we talk about the high courts of Rivers State, we are talking about the high courts that constitute that high court of Rivers State. And of course, we have the magistrates' courts and the other lower courts, like the customary courts. We also have a court called the customary court of appeal. Now, when you look at all of them, you'll see that the question of personnel, judges enough to contend with the cases they have to try. When you have a high court that has a docket of over 5,000 cases, you see that there is some difficulty. And as at yesterday, we were being told by the Chief Judge of Rivers State that we now have about 50-something high court judges in Rivers State. Now, if you divide 5,000 or so cases by 55 judges, how many cases can each judge do in one day or within a certain period and conclude and deliver judgment? Because the personnel are not enough, we have delays in the entire process. Again, the number of courts you have to look at each state, and I've said this even when I was on the National Judicial Council. If Rivers State has 50 courts and Jigawa State has 20 courts, how many cases are before each of the judges in Rivers State, and how many cases are before each of the justices in Jigawa State? But what do we have? The National Judicial Council, this behemoth, an institution, indicates how many courts the state will have, which is all right. Let each state decide, based on the number of cases it has, before all its courts, how many justices of the High Court, how many justices of the Customary Court of Appeal, how many magistrates for the Magistrates' Court, and how many customary courts for the Customary Court, how many customary court judges for the Customary Court. So, first, as I say, the courts have not been well established in terms of number and personnel.
All right.
Second, the issue of funding. When you don't fund the courts well, certainly you will not expect them to perform optimally. And this goes to the infrastructure, the buildings, the vehicles, the houses for the judges, because you can't expect judges to live in nondescript or funny places where all kinds of characters will have access to them. So we need to properly understand that the judiciary is the third arm of government. If the executive is getting humongous sums, just like the National Assembly or the legislature is getting humongous sums, then the judiciary should also get sufficient funds to be able to operate its services. So we come down to the personnel, and we selected the proper and well-qualified persons to administer those courts. And in our own balance, we talk about men of character and learning. First, character, before you now know that you are going to learning, because yes, you may have a law degree, but not everybody is very qualified to be a judge, because some people have the bank, some people have that disposition. So you must select the personnel in an appropriate manner so that you can have people who can do the job, win the job. These are a few of the challenges, and I leave it at that.
All right. Now you've talked about personnel. Do you agree with the statement being said by a couple of people, like the former president, for instance, like the governor of Rivers State, another instance, that the judiciary is corrupt? Do you agree with that characterization?
I do not agree. That is a general statement in respect of which we need the facts and figures and details. You understand? It's easy to just make general statements. The judiciary is corrupt. Judges are corrupt. What evidence do you have? We have in place institutions to deal with corruption in the judiciary at all levels. But then people, you know what they say, they want to call a dog a bad name in order to hang it. When the judgment goes in favor of the party, the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. They have done it again and they have met the expectation. When it goes against somebody, the person wakes up and says, that's a corrupt judgment. Something must have passed under the bridge, or in Ghana must go back, or bank transfers. If you are alleging corruption against the judiciary, bring forward the allegation. And it will be investigated by the appropriate authority. And then those found to be truly corrupt, there is no other way to deal with them but to remove them from the judiciary. They cease to be judges. They cease to be magistrates. So let us have facts and figures and circumstances that can let us reach that as a conclusive conclusion that has veracity attached to it.
But you also have questioned some of the personnel, employed to administer some of these courts at various levels, and you've said some of them may not be qualified even though they are lawyers. Can we attribute this qualification to, or can we say corruption is part of the qualification that they suffer?
Well, if you are not qualified, that has a mile of distance between you being corrupt.
Okay.
They are smart people who become judges, and they bring their smartness. And this smartness I'm talking about is divided into two. Smart in terms of brilliant, you follow, intelligent. But there's also smart in terms of being crafty and being devious. You follow?
Yeah, I do.
That is why I talked about how to select those. You follow?
Yeah.
A corrupt judge may be very, very intelligent. A corrupt magistrate may be very, very intelligent and has done very well in studying law and obtaining a law degree. But then when it comes to administering justice, that same very smart individual may have a corrupt bent of mind and will not feel satisfied with the salary and emolument which is receiving, and will begin to collect other gratifications, including money, from litigants before him or her. Those are the ones that we say are corrupt. You follow? Corrupt means one thing about bribery and corruption. Corrupt also means another thing about not being fit and proper for the position. So when I talk about corruption, you have to look at it from those 2 points of view.
All right, sir. I do have a commercial coming up, but I want to bring, you. I want to throw this question at you first before we go in for that commercial. River State, we've seen conflicting judgments, conflicting orders. We have had several lawyers have their say as to the different judgment orders coming or emanating from different high courts. What do you think the judiciary has done? Is it good? Is it bad in terms of the political imbroglio in River State? I would like to get your thoughts, but first I would ask you to be patient with me. I do have a commercial. When we do come back, I would like to get the answer to that question from you.
Thank you.
All right then. 4 p.m. This is Hard Facts and 92.3 Niger Info. I am Kalada Kurubatbor and I'm speaking with a senior advocate, I beg your pardon, a member of the bench, past president of the NBA, also one-time member of the Judicial Council, and he's joining me on the show. I'm talking about OCJ Okocha. It's good to have you. Welcome back. Can you hear me?
Thank you, Mr. Batwell.
All right. Okay. So before the break, I asked a question. We were talking about corruption, and you gave me your definition and explanation, and you say you do not agree with some of the statements. And then I brought about the conflicting judgments that we've been talking about in Rivers State for months now. And I asked the question, what is the judiciary's role in the political imbroglio that we have in the States?
Thank you. Let me say this. The issue of conflicting judgments, conflicting orders of courts is not just localized to Rivers State or to the courts of Rivers State, the High Court of Rivers State, for instance. It's also a national problem. There are conflicting judgments coming down from the Supreme Court, conflicting judgments coming down from the Court of Appeal. And those courts, together with the high courts, including the Federal High Court, the Industrial Court, they are all the courts we call the Courts of Superior Record.
Okay.
The NJC, to my knowledge, has already set up a committee to look into the matter of conflicting judgments. This happened when the Honorable Justice Ariwola was the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Ariwola just recently retired, which now gave way for Justice Kekere Ekun to assume office as the CJN, Chief Justice of Nigeria. So conflicting judgment is a problem. And this does not augur well for the image which we are trying to build of our courts. Our courts should be institutions where you are certain of what the law is and what the principles are when you administer justice in hearing a case and determine that case. So it is a national problem. And let me also say that this does not only restrict itself to Nigeria. We've had instances of conflicting judgments from even courts abroad. But let us focus on Rivers State.
Okay.
It's not a good thing. It's not a happy development that courts of coordinate jurisdiction faced with similar facts and similar questions or issues will issue judgments or orders that are diametrically opposed to each other, that are conflicting with each other, that are inconsistent with each other. The law should be certain, and that is one of the attributes of justice, that the law and the court, you should be certain of what will come out of it. That is the basis of all which we advise our clients. When they tell us these are my issues, these are the facts I have that have raised those issues, we as legal advisors, legal practitioners, will be in a position to say, yes, go to court, because I believe that you have a good claim. But you see, you can make that advice and the man goes to court and he loses. And somebody will cite an authority, a decision of another court, and say, oh, this one you hold as your opinion is wrong. We have it everywhere, not just in political cases. It's a matter of very grave concern. And I do hope that all concerned, particularly the judges involved and the National Judicial Council, which I have said is looking into this matter, should take a stand. And, at their judges' conferences, which they hold from time to time, ensure that all concerned, judges and justices alike, will be in a position to do justice based on the consistency of their judgment and orders.
All right. You said, the matter is before the NJC. How long would it take the NJC to look into this issue of conflicting judgment? Because my focus is River State, given that our scope is River State. How long would it take, given, once again, you once being a member of that council?
Well, Mr. Batubo, a famous lawyer once said, when asked a question about the future, say we are lawyers, not prophets. You follow?
Yeah.
We are lawyers, not prophets. I'm not a member of the National Judicial Council anymore. I did my 4 years tenure and left the position in 2016. The actual fact of the matter is that I cannot tell you. I don't know the volume of work that they have to do. I don't know the volume of issues, the volume of memos that have been submitted, because they ask for representation from all concerned. So say, give us your views, give us your report on this issue based on what is happening in your jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is the power of the court to determine what it can do and what it cannot do. So it is impossible for me sitting here in my office to tell you how long it will take for this committee to finish its work. But we do hope that, understanding the seriousness and the importance of the matter, they should be up and doing, and at the earliest opportunity submit their reports so that it can be approved, and then implementation will commence.
You were recorded as saying that people should obey court orders in River State. Now, with all of the conflicting orders, what orders are we supposed to obey? And when I say we, I'm speaking as the people of River State, because the government represents us. So, which of these conflicting orders of court are we supposed to abide by?
Let me tell you, we have a principle in jurisprudence. It's akin to what they say with the military: obey the last order.
Okay.
Follow.
Yeah.
So when you look at judgment, first thing you have to look at is the time when the judgment of order was handed down. Second thing you have to look at is which court gave that order. And why do we look at the courts? Because as I told you earlier, each court has its jurisdiction. Now, when you look at the court issuing an order, the question you ask, does this court have jurisdiction to entertain the subject matter of the disputes between the parties? And when you are talking of jurisdiction, you also have to look at the completeness of the jurisdiction. In the recent matter that I commented on, and I in fact had an extensive interview on Channels Television, there was supposed to be an order made by a high court of River State, which was made in September of 2024. Can't remember the exact date. And there was supposed to be another court order made by the Federal High Court by a certain judge called Lifu, judge of the Federal High Court in Abuja, and that the issues were the same concerning the legitimacy of the House of Assembly of River State before